Kireet Kokala, learning by doing, the power of field exercises. Learning by doing, the power of field exercises. Kireet Kokala.
Thank you, Madam Judge. Fellow judges, Toastmasters, and distinguished guests, good afternoon. For a second, I thought I heard an echo because my name could be repeated at the time. I'll try to avoid that in my speech. The title is almost self-explanatory, learning by doing. We all learn via repetition, by continuing to excel at our craft and hone our skills. But there are also some micro-failures that will lead us to our path of success. Field exercises, what are they? They're just experiments that you can come up with in the safe haven of your home, your office, when you're out on the field, or when you travel. And we'll be trying to accommodate 2 field exercises throughout this speech. I joined Toastmasters 4 months ago, and I've given 6 speeches touching on topics between the first one, which is the icebreaker, the toughest speech of all, right? And then moving on to leadership style, communication style, research, so on and so forth. Trust me when I say that that's not an easy process, because I've assimilated feedback from so many people. At one point I thought I was going in a circle, but it was a rewarding experience. It was a lot of introspection, looking deep within and seeing where you've erred and where you can improve. We can all agree that feedback is essential to improvement, because change is the true constant in life. And before I go into those 2 field exercises, I want to briefly outline what's been easy and where I faced challenges. The easy parts: stepping away from the lectern in our club. Don't hog the lectern. That was the easiest. Maintaining eye contact, using body language, engaging the audience, using better voice modulation. I didn't understand that in the beginning because I was talking very low. And also explaining gray areas, such as what does that title have to do with the content? What's the relationship? And then what's the relationship between the content and the examples you're trying to impart? Because you are giving a message versus a speech. For today's topic, I've looked at poetry, and we're going to use that in the field exercises. Some of the challenging areas I did encounter, and I used poetry to improve myself around the process, right? So some of the challenges I faced were looking at everybody's feedback and thinking, oh gosh, there's something wrong, there's a missing kink. There's something wrong with the personality that I can't tweak. And that'll happen if you're hearing the same feedback loop and there's some different directions people are giving you. You know, everybody's taking a different course of action in their written feedback, or verbal or nonverbal. So that was one. But I knew it wasn't a personality thing later. The second part was humor. I think all of you are so intelligent, I can't squeeze in fake humor. I tried. There's some fake humor meter that always hits 0. So I yanked that out, and I thought, let's just use humor as it comes to me naturally. So with this in our purview, let's try and start our first field exercise. And let's consider the following poem. Just look at the content of the poem and think of the possibilities. To see a world in a grain of sand, and the heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. If you guys thought I wrote that poem, bless your heart. It wasn't me. All the credit goes to William Blake, who wrote the Auguries of Innocence more than 200 years ago in 1803. For those of you who are wondering, an augury is a sign or an omen. And I always loved that stanza because it grows into a beautiful poem that embraces life's paradoxes, talks about innocence compared with evil and corruption. And that's why I picked poetry. Poetry is a framework that lets you connect abstract thoughts, especially if feedback coming in has gray areas that's got blanks that you have to fill. Poetry lets you combine opposites. It lets you look at yourself through a lens, a microscopic lens. And secondly, I'm more visual, so it helps me digest a complex topic. Take a small excerpt from somewhere, get inspired, move on to an essay or an article, or then get into a book. So subject matter expertise, that's what you try to achieve ultimately. So poetry is a great tool to embrace and kind of go through that spectrum. David Quammen, an American travel writer, famously said that poetry is the epic in miniature, and I truly believe that. So you must be wondering, okay, the first exercise was a poem. What's the second one? Well, we'll see. How about let's just talk about common tasks that you and I do. I even encourage you to whisper the last word of my sentence, because I guarantee it'll be easy. I think you can guess it. For instance, every morning I brush my teeth. To cook food, I need heat. You could guess heat because you heard teeth. So if I continue that exercise and go through it, every morning I brush my teeth. To cook food, I need heat. Plants need water to grow. It's not really winter without snow. When you see the red light, you go. When you see the red light, I hope you stop. But if you were thinking go, or if you whispered it, that's okay. You were carrying the rhythmic spirit of the poem. But the essence of the poem should have allowed you to question that thought and say, what do I do when I see a red light? I stop. So poetry is there to make you hit the stop button, stop when you see a red light, or stop and think about feedback, not just from Toastmasters. It could be from all walks of life. It could be at work, your personal life, but it helps you absorb things on a deeper level. In summary, I've definitely showed you how to incorporate a feedback mechanism, but we've also combined feedback from the first poem. The first field exercise was talking about an abstract poem, and the second one has more concrete ideas. We've also used natural humor as a binding agent, and I hope you can embrace poetry and be successful in all your endeavors. Thank you.